Post-2023, we've seen the 2023 presidential candidate or Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, visit a lot of northern communities, breakfast with a lot of people in the Muslim community, donated to a lot of communities in the north, as well as other parts of the country. What do you think the perception of him in the north is shifting because of his involvement over the last 2 years?
I think the psyche of northern voter has drastically changed and is taking a different dimension. Will Obi organically connect to this change in, shift in this thinking pattern? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think if I were him, I would talk down to my supporters to go in with Atiku. I'm not this thing for it. Go with Atiku. Possibly next time around, Atiku introduce you to the larger population.
So you want to see a repeat of 2019? You think they stand a better chance?
That would have been better. In fact, if Obi had elected to go with Atiku, they would have given APC a run for its money. I'm telling you.
I mean, they lost in 2019, albeit contested. What makes you think that 2027 is going to be any different?
Put the votes of Atiku and that of Obi in the last election and see.
Yeah, but that's not how elections work.
No, sometimes
this is an election that hasn't happened yet.
No, what you can. That's why we have sample. That's why we put opinion on platform to see how it works. And of course, polling come from this kind of. It's a product of this hypothesis. It can be an abstract hypothesis, but this is the way it is done.
So the ADC,
and that informed the reason why they are now in the same party. They have talked themselves into this belief that, look, if we had not done this and this, probably would have been on this seat. So why can't we come together?
You see already that on one side, whether it's the articulates or other supporters within the ADC, they have an open mind about what the ticket could look like. But as we did point out, some of the obedient voices in the ADC coalition are saying Obi or nothing. What do you make of the party's management? Because Bolaji Abdullahi came out with a statement trying to douse the tension, lower the temperature, however you describe it, but it appears to have backfired because on the Obi side, they believe that the leadership is advocating for Atiku Abubakar to the detriment of others who might share the same ambition.
Yes, and that is the outward situation where they place Obi. And like I told you, Obi knows in free and fair election that the North is going to participate and the Southwest is going to participate. Of course, Atiku is going to defeat him, silly. That is there. But is there any mitigating scenario that can be exploited? Yes. Why can you accept to go to be his vice president? They might throw a very big job there. But you don't expect Atiku to be Obi's vice president. It's a no-go situation.
Barry, so where do you stand on the conversation around zoning and how it would count in the psyche and thinking generally of Nigerian voters in 2027 when we have this understanding about power rotation from the north to the south?
Yes.
President Tinubu presumably by 2027 would have finished his first 4-year term.
Yes.
The understanding of most voters is that, listen, let the next president still come from the south. That balances things out. And then 2031, it could come back to the north. How does that square in with your take about Obi and Atiku on the ticket, with Atiku as the flag bearer?
First of all, as a Democrat and as a lawyer, I know that rotational idea or zoning idea, they are not consistent with the provisions of the Constitution. One. And I also know that they are not part of precepts that are known to democracy. I also know that historically it has never been like that. I also know that there was a time when Awolowo stood for election in UPN. He was not just He didn't just pick a deputy, a Christian, but a deputy from South again, an Igbo man. And nobody contested that. And nobody said why. I also knew that Zeke was a Christian and took Professor Ishaya Audu, who was a Christian too, and that a Christian, a northerner. You see, northerners, we did ourselves this concept of zoning. During the draft, 1979 constitutional drafting processes, it was one topic that was rejected by the participants. That no, if we want democracy, we should have democracy whole hog. We shouldn't compartmentalize democracy along ethnic, along geographical, along religious. It's not going to augur anywhere. America, with history of 300 years, 3 or 2 presidents emerged from the southern part of America. Jimmy Carter and one person that I cannot remember. But nobody in America is questioning the right of the Americans to vote who they wish. And where the country is paying for this zoning. But I always say, why are the Southerners having these uncomfortable feelings around this zoning and the rest? The North has shown more than once. Northerners were defeated to give way to Obasanjo. When Yaradua died, there were those that were agitating that it should be rotated back to the North. I was one of those. I wrote an article against it. Jonathan had his fault, completed the term, and of course had another term. If he had a fantastic policies, Jonathan would have won the second time. Nobody contested. Buhari contested with Southerners. The biggest problem we have in this country is this rotation and this zoning formula. And I
don't think it's a fair ask?
No, fairness is a relative term. Is it fair to deny me contesting simply because it's fair for you to contest?
You don't think you don't think it represents balance?
No, it doesn't. Balance again is what? Is relative to whom? Is it balance when you deny me my order to contest? I'm coming.
Much of democracy is about representation, isn't it? And you want people to feel they belong to the same society,
yes,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And if by sheer luck or whatever the situation is, with regards to population, size and everything, one region gets to produce the president every single election time.
Yes.
Don't you think that that would constitute something?
No, it will be like the president is doing very well. Because if he's not doing well, even his region will reject him. We had a time, like I told you, Obasanjo's
So when the APC rotated in 2023 or 2022, and you had people like Governor Malam Nasir Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, push for the zoning to go to the south. And
no, let me, I'm sorry to...
I'm saying that this is not a conversation that is happening in a vacuum. Yeah. Because even today, you have the PDP zoning its ticket to the south. It's safe to say that this is not only popular, it is an acceptable arrangement.
No. El-Rufai and the rest of the, and some of these northerners that were pushing in for southern president, they were doing it to have a space to contest for the vice presidency. And ask him today whether he is still in cohort with that kind of arrangement. Tinubu would have won his election, would that resort to this issue of zoning and what have you. He would have won his election. Abiola won his election, defeated Bashiru Topa, not just in Kano, but in Gandu Albasu. Would that resort to rotation of zoning? It is undemocratic. It doesn't tell you democratic ethos. It doesn't. It is, in fact, it is never known to these countries that are practicing real democracy. And I think, and I'm seeing this, people are beginning to get tired of it. If you remember, there was a time, I can't really do the governor, one governor of Ondo that died. You remember they had a meeting of 17 governors during the election, or before the election of Tinubu. What he said, we must, is that democracy? And the North was blackmailed into accepting, into going to maybe his idea of democracy. But like I said, Tinubu would have won his election without resort to this now setting concept called rotation. It doesn't what it produces in large number are mediocres, because the nation is not allowed to tap on the best. You are restricted by geographical location or religious dichotomy.
Right. So, Barry,
and most important in central to democracy is multiple offers for plural right to choose. So,
Barry, you do not consider the zoning conversation a make or break situation for the ADC coalition, because APC obviously doesn't have to zone. We know the president is going to get that ticket almost unilaterally. The PDP, the quote-unquote main opposition party, has zoned its tickets to the south. How risky would it be for the ADC to say, you know what, we're not going to go with the body language of what the other major political parties are doing, what we think the country is also agitating for, we're going to keep it open. How risky is that going to be for the ADC?
I am telling you, nobody is going to look for a doctor from his tribe.
Yeah, but that's different. Politics is different.
No, it is. Unless if you have this contempt for the mentality of the voters in a given geography. But let me tell you, rotation and zoning is coming to an end, because we have seen the fallacy around it. We have seen the disaster it is creating. Honestly. And you say I said it. Atiku would not have any encumbrance around the idea of zoning. And they have opened it up. That look, each and every one of you has the right to come and contest. You understand? It's not going to be this. And the earlier we forget about this zoning concept and begin to produce, a president can come from. We had a president from Bayelsa. The vote strength of Bayelsa is no more than just not. But we had a president. He was elected defeating Buhari, who came from the north. So do we have any justification? Do we have any justification to entertain this fear that without the presence of this abnormal structure called zoning, other part of the country will not become president or what? So how many presidents come from the south?
So your advice,
how many come from the north?
Your advice to ADC is discard the idea of zoning. Risk it all.
Not only
put all your eggs in one basket.
Yes.
And nothing's going to happen.
Nothing.
Okay.
You have seen the Muslim ticket. You remember the campaign that was against it. Didn't it scale through? It did. Talk about the people. Talk to the people. They determine who comes out of election victorious.
So if Muslim ticket works, you think the zoning thing is
zoning
not a big
can.
deal? Okay.
South can. Christian can. I told a friend of mine that we shouldn't be surprised. A time might come when a Christian candidature will come and win election. Democracy is developing, for goodness sake. And I begin to ask myself, if zoning were not done 1979, 1983, why are we bringing zoning at this time when we are expected to have developed sophistication in our political process?
Right. Now that you brought it up, let's talk a little bit about the Muslim ticket, because much has been said, speculated about the president likely considering his running mate to be replaced.
Yes.
Meaning that maybe, just maybe, Vice President Kashim Shettima would not be on the ticket come 2027. Yes. The ABC recently just released a statement saying this, and all this speculation is unfounded. Yes. We heard a minister of the Federal Republic, Hannatu Musawa, talk about it, say it will be risky for the APC. Some names have been banded. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, also spoke about it, saying, listen, he's not interested. However, Christians should not be afraid to have that conversation about what they think is fair in terms of the political calculation. What are the chances that this could be more than just speculation in your view?
Let me tell you what, I read her interview, very lucid, apt, and she dwelled on political issues that a lot of people were not capable of swimming into it. And you know what she did with that interview? She assisted her party, and she destroyed certain privileges that ADC might probably enjoy. Don't forget, the Muslim ticket was a winning concept and it delivered. Has there any change? And I think the fear of those that were against the Muslim ticket have been what? Have been allayed. The fear is no longer there.
Do you think?
Yeah, I want to believe this.
I mean, with the whole Christian genocide conversation, the Americans getting involved, we saw the change in the Ministry of Defense.
When you say Christian genocide, I think I know you don't believe it too.
I'm saying the claim. I'm not, stating any position of my own. I'm saying this Christian genocide claim.
Yes, but anyway, there is no any Christian genocide in Nigeria, but indeed there is killings across the entire country. Trump is a transitional leader looking for an opportunity, and he harped on our fear. And before you know what, we refused to initiate a robust approach to solving the problem. The same Trump went and destroyed Venezuela. 99% of Venezuelans are Catholic Christians. The same Trump is arming Netanyahu to destroy Christians in Gaza. So the idea that Trump will be here in Nigeria to protect Christians, anyway, Trump was just relating to his base, the conservative, fanatical, evangelical base in US. And that is all. And he has gotten the required attention. But issue of genocide, issue of what have you, they are all political gambits created to produce certain effects. Allegedly, they have done that. Allegedly, somebody was telling me that Donald Trump now said that a Nigerian vice president must be changed to bring in a Christian. I don't think that statement should be true. And if it is true, the federal government or the presidency or the president should be careful how to handle that statement. Because I think that I want to say something in Hausa. I don't know how you are going to interpret it. Ba a cin yaƙi da kai a barka da kuturun bawa. Those that fought for the war to produce this presidency, so far, what has that changed? Nothing changed. If anything, the fears that were associated with the Muslim ticket are no longer there. They've disappeared. That look, in a federation like ours, you cannot afford. Assume the ticket is Christian ticket. I don't see the possibility of Muslim being victimized or Muslim being annihilated or Muslim being deprived of. I don't think the structure of the constitution, the laws, the corpus juris that we operate on will not even allow you to do it.
Right, but
having said so.
But what about his antecedents, Barrister? When he served as governor of Lagos State, the 2 terms he served, he had 3 deputy governors. One for the first time, another for the second term, and another for less than a couple of months, actually, before he left office in 2007.
Yes.
What does his antecedent tell us about the possibility of this actually happening?
Antecedents function on normal tradition that is there. He can do it in Lagos, a homogeneous society, where he controls his stuff. But here you are talking about Nigeria. It is almost 3 years. Has he changed any vice president? It's not as simple as that. And I advise him that when you remove your vice president, the contestation to that office will create another race for you that will be difficult for you to manage.
You think the vice president is so important that he could be a deal breaker?
No, not quite. But the symbolism of that office, that to some people got into that election with this mind. We should not run away from the fact that the entire election of 2023 were basically on certain sentiments, depending on where it is played. So anybody advising Tinubu to change is not really Tinubu's support. And unfortunately, the chunk membership of those that are advising Tinubu to do that are those people that rejected him. They just came in when the booty is about to be shared. They were not with him. But they now have the capacity to advise him against people that assisted him to the power. So he should be very, very careful.
All right, before we wrap things up, your final thoughts on what many would term the dark horse in the conversation, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. His name has come up over the last 1 year or so. His wife has dismissed the idea, but you get the sense that he's hanging around somewhere in the periphery, or maybe not. Where do you fit him into the conversation about 2027?
Yeah, Jonathan would have given APC a run for its money. Again, a Christian, but having less support around the Muslim population and having conducted himself fairly okay when he succeeded as the president. But the fact that it is his wife that is talking on the same wife that was partially a reason why he was never elected, that concept introduced another problem into his ambition. Because I know that a lot of people would have said that, look, if this guy would have ran in on his wife, coming back, we are going to elect him. But if the wife is now the formation at the front row, then the idea is becoming dangerously disturbing. But I would want to suggest that the political space will be better without his presence this time around. He's not old. He can come back and at that time. But now I think the system is already solidifying and settling. It will be difficult to have him absorbed in which of the parties. You see,
PDP is an option, ADC is an option.
PDP too is in trouble. PDP as a political party too is in trouble.
Okay.
A mechanic is wrongly employed to make sure it does a heavy damage on its engine until miracles happen. But PDP too is within the realm of NNPP and other parties that have legal issues.
All right. And on that note, Bahari Yusuf, thank you so much for the analysis. It's always good to see you. Thank you so much for the conversation this evening. And that wraps it up for tonight's conversation on Daily Politics. We'll be back tomorrow live at 8 p.m. exclusive as always on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. From myself and the rest of the team, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.